work-wise. So I have to introduce, they're making me introduce, and
keep it short, buddy.
yeah. I honestly wish I had clever jokes or anecdotes to tell about Caleb, but I'm actually selling them at the next SYRCL fundraiser. There'll be a beer category, a beer story category, wine, tequila, scotch. Hold out for the scotch one. No, you guys know Caleb. What can I say that you all don't already know? He's truly one of the most extraordinary people I've ever met. So many times I've been in meetings with Caleb, and something comes up, or somebody asks a question, or somebody does something rather challenging, and in the back of your mind, you're ready to go, here's what I'm gonna say. And the better part of you comes up with something you wanna say. Caleb will say something, and I'd sit there and go, man, not on my best day could I have come up with something that good. And that is Caleb. He always works with extraordinary intelligence, wisdom, ability, heart. More heart and more sincerity than I think anyone I know. He really is something. He is truly one of a kind. So come on up, Caleb, and give your spiel. We love you, man.
I just asked him to say my name just so there'd be a transition there. This is great. This is so wonderful to have our community, all of our members in the room, and to speak to the challenging work that Izzy just talked about, that it is easy for us to come together when we all agree, but when you live in a community, there are conflicts, and how we act together all the time is what we should be judged by. And that is, I think, what SYRCL's proved over 30 years. And I think the testimony is all of you, and the fact that we have representation from the Yuba County Board of Supervisors, the Nevada County Board of Supervisors, the City of Nevada City and Grass Valley, the leadership of NID, the leadership of Yuba County Water Agency, the leadership of the Tahoe National Forest, and many others are all in the room with us. We are a community, all of us, cherishing and protecting this watershed. And let's just a round of applause for this community. When I first started as SYRCL's executive director nearly 5 years ago now, I was lucky. Gary Snyder sent me an excerpt from one of his essays, Coming into the Watershed. It's a beautiful essay, and I was rereading it the other day, and I wanted to share with you this passage. He wrote, "We must hold the watershed and its communities together so our children might enjoy the clear water and fresh life of this landscape." When the activists who created SYRCL first came together 33 years ago, and many of you are in this room, as John just said, what a wonderful legacy that we're all together after all this time. But I'm gonna guess that those of you in 1983, when you were fighting the dam proposal, you were not thinking in terms of watersheds or of organization building. You were responding viscerally and passionately to repel a threat, to prevent the Yuba from being dammed, to prevent the Yuba from being harmed. And the threat today is much, much greater than new dams, mines, or clear cuts. The threat of climate change demands so much more from us than those controversies ever did. Responding to climate change and the drought, wildfires, habitat loss for all creatures, threats to water quality and supply that come with it, that is our work. That's the work we need to do if we're going to hold this watershed and this community together for our children for the next 30, 50, or 100 years. Climate change means we're in it for the long haul. Climate change, as they say, changes everything. We have changed from being an all-volunteer army defending the river to a watershed council with an agenda. And SYRCL's agenda to make the Yuba watershed healthier and more resilient is incorporated into the summary of our strategic action plan that we passed out today, and I hope you got a copy of that when you came in. You'll see in there that our approach is multifaceted. Our tools include advocacy, outreach, education, hands-on restoration work, and we invite you, as Jen said earlier, we invite all of you to participate in this work. I think what's amazing is that it is in this new context that NID, the Nevada Irrigation District, proposes to now build Centennial Dam. And their central argument for this dam is that it is in response to climate change. This new 110,000 acre foot reservoir with a 275-foot tall dam would be located between the existing Rawlins and Combi reservoirs in our own backyard on the Bear River, the watershed next door. I think there might be no better moment, no better educational opportunity to examine how we're going to respond to climate change as a watershed community than NID's Centennial Dam proposal. Needless to say, SYRCL has been engaged in this issue from the very beginning, and we have heard, I've gotten a lot of interesting emails and phone calls, and many people demanding that we immediately denounce NID's proposals. Others have come up and urged neutrality or even support given our region's uncertain water future. So when I'm asked about SYRCL's position on Centennial Dam, I say this: in a time of record drought and climate change, we need to listen to one another and seek creative solutions. And we expect our participation in the environmental review process to contribute to that effort. And let's be clear, as an organization founded to stop inappropriate dams, you can be sure we are not going to stand by if the Yuba is threatened or if there are better ways for NID to meet its future water needs. Clearly, there's no question this dam is controversial, but I think how we deal with controversy as a watershed community says a lot about who we are and what our commitment to uniting the community means to us in practice. That's why I am so proud that SYRCL is part of the Foothills Water Network, a group of local, and so great to see all the, raise your hand, Tracy. Tracy's been coordinating, and Alan and Otis and so many others working hard. I'm so proud that SYRCL is part of the Foothill Water Network. This is a group of local, state, national conservation and recreation organizations that are fully engaged in the hard work, in the thoughtful work, engaged in the environmental review of this proposal. Our network is concerned that Centennial Dam will have significant environmental impacts on the Bear and Yuba River watersheds and the surrounding communities. Quick question. Did you know that half of the South and Middle Yuba River water already gets diverted to the Bear River? Someone said, and more than that? And Centennial could demand even more water. It's fitting during this Earth Day week that our coalition submitted a 33-page letter to NID just on Monday. And this letter carefully, thoroughly asks numerous questions about Centennial Dam and urges NID to consider alternatives that could meet our true water needs without a big dam. The letter questions the rationale for the dam and asks to what degree it may contribute to more sprawl in Placer County, growing, as they say, as many as 12,000 new homes in Lincoln alone. Our letter challenges NID to evaluate how conservation and incentives might encourage more efficient water use. What if NID were to repair or modify its aging facilities? Could we offset the need to store more water if we stopped leaks? metered water, harvested rainwater, safely reused gray water, changed building codes and ordinances to support water efficiency in our communities, our commercial buildings, our homes, and our landscaped yards. Reading that letter over again and over again, I went, this is a historic opportunity we face. This is a historic opportunity for NID to lead the state of California as an advocate for recharging our groundwater and restoring meadows, wetlands, and floodplains. If thinking about the Bear River and its relation to the Yuba River is a new idea for you, I encourage you to visit the Foothill Water Network table right over here at the break and talk to them, talk to all of us. They have planned a tour and educational program for this coming weekend that should not be missed. And I thank you, Otis, for organizing that. I urge you also to read the letter to NID because I think it demonstrates the wisdom and the experience the environmental community has to offer. And I think it is an invitation to NID to develop a new roadmap for our future water needs based on conservation and creativity. All right. Let's switch gears. Who wants to talk about salmon? All right. Restoring wild salmon and steelhead and saving them from extinction is another way for us to ensure our children might enjoy, as Gary said, the clear water and fresh life of this landscape. Many of you know that since the 1990s, SYRCL has litigated in court and used the regulatory process under the Endangered Species Act to achieve significant victories for Yuba salmon. The good news is that we've succeeded in getting state and federal government agencies to the table with SYRCL and other conservation groups to do something for spring run, the threatened species, spring run Chinook salmon now. Music's nice. The problem from our point of view is this idea of doing something now involves trapping and trucking salmon around dams to and from the North Yuba River for the next 50 years. We think trap and haul misses the fundamental point of salmon restoration, which is to improve the health of the entire watershed. That's why we often talk about salmon as an indicator species, right? Because we understand that healthy salmon tell us that the watershed is healthy too. Question, do you think that wild salmon are born to swim or ride in trucks? If you agree that they are born to swim, not ride in trucks, please sign our letter in the corner or pull out your smartphone right now and go to www.fishdon'tdrive.org. Or, sign a petition at the table if you're old school like me and want to do paper and pen. It's been so gratifying. More than 2,000 people, I think we're at 2,054, thanks to Courtney's work at Sierra College just yesterday. We got another 12. 2,054 have already signed this letter, and we hope to present it to Governor Brown next month. What does this letter say? The Fish Don't Drive letter asks for two things. We're advocating that state and federal decision makers examine the best available science to develop a fish passage plan that allows salmon and steelhead to get by the dams on their own. This is a plan that needs to benefit the health of the entire Yuba watershed. We're also calling upon them to immediately support large-scale salmon habitat improvement projects on the lower Yuba River where the salmon are right now and struggling. If we could implement these critical on-the-ground projects within the next few years, then this wild fish population could grow. Imagine all of you, imagine for a moment thousands and thousands of wild salmon knocking at the door of Englebright Dam in just 10 years. We talked about coalitions being hard work, and we've experienced that lately. We've been disappointed that some of our fellow river conservation colleagues have signed on to this trap and haul plan. So we've started to build a new coalition for our vision. This year, SYRCL joined the International Waterkeeper Alliance. We have established our own Yuba River Waterkeeper program within SYRCL to participate in this international movement, fighting for every community's right to swimmable, drinkable, fishable water. Already, California's waterkeeper organizations, plus Friends of the River, have supported our salmon campaign by sharing our Fish Don't Drive letter with thousands more people across the state. Successful coalitions can be very powerful. Too often our opponents try to divide us. But when something bad happens on one ridge of the watershed, and in this case, my ridge of the watershed, the impacts flow downstream, threatening us all. Knowing that, what have we always done? We find common cause, we organize, we take effective action, and when we win, what do, river lovers? We party, we celebrate. Darn right. So this year, this Earth Day week is a time for celebration in the Yuba. Our coalition, the San Juan Ridge Taxpayers Association, the Sierra Fund, and SYRCL won a major victory now that Nevada County has canceled the permit to reopen the San Juan Ridge Gold Mine. This is a big deal. This is a big deal because if you all recall, the last time this gold mine operated in the 1990s, the operators struck an aquifer and drained the surrounding wells of so many residents, so many families, so many people that I've known my whole life, our elementary school, the health clinic, and others. Then the excess water overflowed the dams, scoured the stream beds down to bedrock, and discharged millions of gallons of untreated water directly into our South Yuba. Now this is from the operator's own proposal. He told us that if the mine were to have been reopened, it would have drained, hold this number, 3.7 million gallons of water per day for years. So, some of us questioned whether that was a good idea during a drought. Didn't we, John? We persuaded Nevada County planners to require at least 1 year of continuous well monitoring. And when the mine operator unilaterally halted the program after only a few months, we insisted that the county revoke the permit application. Now, the mine operator is offering the land for sale. Now, the asking price of $8.6 million is absurd. Unless someone has it, please write a check. We could get this done tonight. But I think that the offer signals a new day and a new opportunity for our watershed community, and that is to consider alternative uses for this land other than gold mining once it's been fully cleaned up. Uses that might actually benefit our community rather than deprive it of life-giving waters. Our victory over the San Juan gold mine affirmed our rallying cry, and let's hear it. Let's hear it, taxpayers, everybody who's been involved. What's our rallying cry? Water is more precious than gold. And with that, I'd love everyone in the San Juan Ridge taxpayers involved in this effort to stand up and be recognized. Saul Henson, President, Gary, Kurt and Nancy, thank you. The team that taught me everything I've ever known. It just was so much fun, and what a great outcome. All right, so everyone's heard about the new gold rush? The new gold rush is going on in our foothills. Some are calling it the green rush. with its own excesses and negative environmental consequences. And while most of the attention surrounding cannabis cultivation has focused on medical, economic, or social impacts, SYRCL calls upon our community to make sure that the environmental impacts on the Yuba River are not overlooked. That said, we don't think Nevada County's ban on outdoor cultivation is the answer. We fear that the ban is likely to drive cannabis cultivation further underground. To be clear, SYRCL is not taking a position pro or con on the upcoming ballot measure, and SYRCL is not for or against cannabis cultivation either. But let's be forward-thinking about sustainable solutions to regulate cannabis cultivation that will protect the watershed and comply with land use and environmental laws. SYRCL's always believed that one way we can help is through education. Nevada County has long been a center for organic, sustainable agriculture. So, we've organized educational workshops to demonstrate how responsible agricultural practices can protect the environment, right? Let's get our knowledge out there. But here's what's interesting. This kind of came as a surprise to me. When SYRCL announced that it was hosting its second annual Growing Green for the Yuba, an all-day workshop on best management practices, we were reminded of the risks we take with our advocacy. No sooner had we hit send on our press release announcing the event than one of the agencies funding our school water conservation assemblies canceled their $9,000 contract with us. Why? Because they didn't want to be associated in any way with cannabis, even though when I called and explained that our educational event was simply about protecting water quality. Sadly, we've learned the hard way that our activism carries the risk of retribution from some of the same agencies, foundations, and funders who otherwise support aspects of our programmatic work. They may like our restoration projects, they may love the educational activities that Heather is putting together, but they can become uncomfortable with our advocacy positions. Sometimes funds are withdrawn because our positions are too strong. Sometimes we're told that our positions are, and this was the last call I dealt with, was out of alignment. In either case, let's be real, the ramifications are intense, putting valued programs and even more valued staff at risk. We've even received some dark warnings that our position on Trap and Haul is going to cost us when it comes time to allocate funds to restore salmon habitat in the lower Yuba River someday. This, despite the fact that SYRCL is the most experienced and best qualified to do this restoration work, as Rachel will soon describe. Consequences so far? We've lost as much as $75,000 this past year alone. That is a lot of money for us. But what's most important? What's most important for us and our values? It's important that we retain our independence and our integrity. Thank you. You know, most of our large-scale projects are grant-funded, and advocacy work, grassroots organizing, the type of stuff I've been talking about, that is not grant-funded. But we're going to remain the voice, the independent voice of the Yuba, as long as we can continue to count on your support. Dues-paying members have built this organization. You heard Jen say we have 3,500 dues-paying members. 70% of our members dutifully donate at least $50 per year. I ask you to consider increasing that amount if you can to maybe $10 a month, or if you can afford more, $100 per month. Come to our fundraising events. Mark your calendars, as Julie said earlier, mark your calendar for June 4th. That's the Wild for the Yuba Party, our annual beer and wine tasting festival. If you like to plan ahead, pull out your phone one more time, mark the date, save the date for the 15th annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival. It's January 12th through 16th. You guys need a pen? January 12th through 16th, 2017. Just want to talk about the Film Fest because its reach is so phenomenal. Many of you know it's SYRCL's largest fundraiser, but did you know that the films go well beyond Nevada County once they're shown here? These films inspire environmental activism at over 150 venues across the US and overseas, reaching, get this, about 5,000 to 6,000 people see the films in Nevada City and Grass Valley in those 5-day weekend. But by the end of the year, 35,000 people have seen these films. Phenomenal. So think about that for a minute. In this time of climate change, in this time of uncertainty, SYRCL's message of community-based watershed stewardship is spreading around the world. It's inspiring. Let me leave you with one more quote from Gary Snyder's essay. Watershed consciousness is not just environmentalism, not just a means toward resolution of social and economic problems, but a move towards resolving both nature and society with the practice of profound citizenship in both the natural and social worlds. If the ground can be our common ground, we can begin to talk to each other, human and non-human, once again. My fellow Yuba citizens, the state of the Yuba is strong, strong because of your profound citizenship in this watershed. Thank you.